Welcome to Green Time. I'm host Don Fitz. This episode we're going to talk about health begins in the soil at EarthDance. But before we get into what EarthDance is, let's take a look at the movie Health Begins in the Soil.
Our food system is broken, people are sick, and the planet is sick. But there's hope. A food and farming revolution is underway. No longer are people willing to sit by while their food causes diseases of the mind, body, and earth. Consciousness about our broken food system is growing, and a new generation of folks is digging in to do something about it. EarthDance is proud to lead this revolution in its own community, knowing that health begins in the soil. To restore our health, we must first restore our soil. Recognizing the need to preserve farmland, educate new farmers, and cultivate healthier eating choices, Molly Rahman started EarthDance on the Mueller Organic Farm in 2008. As a 15-year-old, Molly visited the 14-acre farm in Ferguson, Missouri, and it left quite an impression. With the last generation of Muellers too old to carry on the family farm, she knew something had to be done to preserve the oldest organic farm in Missouri. With the help of a local land trust, the Open Space Council, EarthDance was born. To protect farmland, the key is to connect more people to it. EarthDance's Organic Farming Apprenticeship Program provides people from all backgrounds with hands-on education in sustainable food production on the historic Mueller Farm. From starting seeds in a greenhouse, to building soil fertility, to selling to chefs, EarthDance trains these beginning farmers in the principles and practices of organic agriculture, from seed to market. Over the course of the 9-month program, apprentices grow 75 varieties of vegetables and herbs, operate a 25-week community-supported agriculture program, sell at 55 farmers markets, visit 12 farms, go on 12 field walks, and attend 13 classes. Apprentices, as diverse as the crops they tend, come to EarthDance to learn organic farming and come away with so much more. When people work the soil together, relationships are built. Since the first class in 2009, 94 apprentices have gone through the program and are already out there making a difference in the food movement. Starting school gardens, selling at farmers markets, operating community-supported agriculture programs, restarting family farms, and cultivating urban gardens. Children also find a connection to food and the natural world through EarthDance. Today's youth, many of whom regularly call a bag of chips lunch, belong to the first generation that will live shorter than their parents because of the food they eat. In order to stop this trend in its tracks, Camp EarthDance was created. The Farm to Table Summer Camp brings area middle schoolers to the farm to participate in growing food, harvesting it, and then learning how to prepare a healthy lunch. In addition, school groups from the elementary to the university level come out for farm tours for hands-on learning to connect with their classroom lessons. The public is also regularly welcomed onto the farm for free tours, to see the organic growing methods used, taste a just-picked tomato, and witness biodiversity in action. On May 24th, 2012, EarthDance bought the farm. The future of these 14 acres is no longer in jeopardy. A conservation easement will be placed on the land, ensuring its use as productive organic farmland for generations to come. Ownership of the land puts into motion EarthDance's vision for a vibrant community focused on food, art, relationships, and music sustainably. EarthDance needs your help to make this vision a reality. Volunteers can transform the face of the farm by designing a greenhouse, renovating the old farmhouse, clearing out invasive species, and planting fruit trees. Your financial support makes it possible to turn this fertile land into a community space where people can come together over shared ideals and a desire to keep themselves and this planet healthy. EarthDance sustainably grows food, farmers, and community, one small farm at a time, through hands-on education and delicious experiences.
Come grow with us!
Welcome back to Green Time. I'm host Don Fitz. We just saw Health Begins in the Soil at EarthDance. And with me I have in the studio somebody who knows quite a lot about EarthDance, Molly Rahman.
Hi.
Now tell me, what is EarthDance?
So I'm the founding director of EarthDance. Okay. We are a nonprofit organization that trains folks in sustainable agriculture from seed to market. Our mission is to sustainably grow food, farmers, and community, one small farm at a time, through hands-on education and delicious experiences.
Well, great. Now, what you said about your mission statement, it's not just growing the food, it's growing a community.
Right.
So it sounds to me like EarthDance is really promoting an interaction between people and plants and people and soil and plants. So would that be an accurate way to describe what's happening? And so you don't just grow the food, you really understand how people are connected with the soil. Area that you use, it's in the St. Louis area, correct?
It's in North St. Louis County.
North St. Louis County. It used to be the Miller Farm. Could you tell us something about the connection between the Miller Farm and EarthDance?
Yeah, of course. So the Miller Organic Farm was established in 1883, and that's before the city of Ferguson even existed, which is where we're located in North St. Louis County. It's before the airplane was even invented, and we're right by Lambert Field, so we see planes going overhead all the time now.
Do they scare the raccoons away?
I wish. Well, actually, we don't have too much trouble with raccoons, but other vermin. But the farm once was over 200 acres, and gradually the first and second generation of Millers sold off parcels of land to nearby development. And thankfully, the third generation, Al and his wife Caroline, kept it at the mighty about 14 acres that it is today. It's nestled in the middle of a neighborhood in Ferguson.
So it's a good-sized farm, but it's a small farm or a really, really big garden.
Right. It's definitely small according to the USDA standards, but it's large for an urban farm. I actually visited the farm when I was 15 years old, and it left such a strong impression. I met Al and Caroline, and throughout my college years and even post-college years, I always wondered what was going to happen to that farm since they didn't have any children or farming relatives that wanted to take it on. So after, pursuing a degree in environmental studies and studying organic farming in a different state, I returned to St. Louis with a strong interest in seeing if I could keep that farm going. So that was really the initial purpose of creating EarthDance, was to keep the Miller Farm a farm.
What are your plans for? What would you like to see EarthDance do during the next 10 or 20 or 100 years?
Yeah, wow, 100, we're really getting out there. So in May 2012, we reached a huge milestone, and we actually bought the farm in a good way. The last few years, EarthDance has actually been renting just a few acres to operate our organic farming apprenticeship program to train people. So this last May, when we actually were able to purchase the farm, now we're able to dream big, and some of the plans for the farm are to build a community greenhouse, not only for the production of our own seedlings, but also for community members to raise vegetables from seed. We also want to put on build an events barn on the farm, so that we can host things like barn dances and workshops and film screenings.
That would be great.
Yeah, and just do things that will really streamline the production capacity of the farm too, like having a packing shed. Actually, just today we are building the walk-in cooler on the farm.
No, what is a packing shed?
A packing shed is where you bring your harvest in on the farm. So it's just like it sounds, it's where you pack the vegetables into boxes.
Okay, and you want a greenhouse, and is the major purpose of that so that you could start planting things really early, like in January, and get them ready to go into the ground sometime between March and May?
Yeah, we start our seedlings typically in February, and then we'll start transplanting into the field as soon as the weather allows, typically in mid to late March. So having a greenhouse on site would really help us maintain higher quality of our seedlings. Currently, we are very fortunate to use greenhouse space at a local high school, but we have to track.
That's great.
Yeah, we have to track the seedlings back and forth. So,
do they teach anything about organic agriculture in the high school?
Yeah, in fact, our farm manager is on their advisory board, and we're trying to help them out with their training as well.
Fantastic. Now, you use the phrase celebrating the culture in agriculture. What does that mean, culture in agriculture?
Yeah, so I have a strong belief that if we want to really reconnect people to the source of our food, not everybody's going to be attracted to learning how to dig in the dirt and grow your own veggies from seed. A lot of people might be more attracted to the cooking side, learning how to can and preserve your harvest. Or I really feel that farms are natural laboratories for the arts. And so, when I actually apprenticed on a farm in California, I put on a musical.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Great.
so I would really love for EarthDance at the Miller Farm to be a site where creative expression can really flourish, and we can, as I mentioned, host barn dances and film screenings, and we've already hosted small farm concerts and times when artists can come out to the farm and paint a scene from the farmscape. So.
Well, great. I've heard about other people doing that, and
Yeah.
I know that you're not. I know that EarthDance is not the only farm that blends culture with with the growing of produce. Okay. Now, tell me, you said there's an apprenticeship program, didn't
Right.
you? Okay. Now, what does that mean?
Sure. So the Organic Farming Apprenticeship Program is a 9-month part-time training program for folks that are interested in learning how to grow food organically. They can either have an interest in actually starting their own small farm, which many do, or they could just want to learn how to grow more of their own food for their family, for themselves, or even to develop a community garden or school garden. We have a lot of teachers that do the program because they actually want to incorporate gardening into their curriculum more. So the apprenticeship program really gives a great foundation, a great introduction to organic farming and gardening.
So am I correct that if somebody wants to have a course or in school, either elementary or middle school or high school, about how to do organic gardening, they could get in touch with you?
Yep.
And the teacher, and there might be a teacher who knows that this is a very important thing for children to learn how to do, but not really know very much about it.
Yeah, we design it so that it's accessible to people that have other jobs. Some people even have full-time jobs in addition to doing the apprenticeship program. It's about a 10-hour-a-week commitment, and that includes a class on Monday evenings, which are an hour and a half. And actually, we're now opening those classes to the public. So people that cannot make a full 9-month commitment to the program can actually come and take a class just on organic pest and disease management in the garden, or they can take a class on composting or selling at farmers markets, whatever piques their interest. So we now offer training to people that can't even do the 9-month training program, but
that's great.
want to do it on
Now, is this one of the ways that people can be involved other than the apprenticeship program?
Yeah.
Are there other things that people can do?
Yeah, we definitely are inviting collaboration. Like I mentioned, that we have had a plein air art session on the farm. If there's art or music organizations, I'd love for us to even host jam sessions out on the farm. People are certainly welcome to come and take a tour or we've had everyone from garden clubs to scout troops to senior citizen volunteers out on the farm. If people want to learn hands-on, which our training program is really designed to teach people that want the very tactile experience of not just being in a classroom setting and actually getting their hands dirty, but if people just want to do that on a voluntary basis, they can do that as well. So there's lots of ways to get involved.
I'm a psychologist by trade, and I know that there's a lot of research that shows that working on a farm or a garden for a lot of people can be a very therapeutic experience, and for whatever age group you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. I wish we had all the, capabilities of doing the kind of research on those direct connections between mental health and working in the soil, because I feel very strongly, just, anecdotally, we've had folks that have gone into our program with significant depression issues and have come out and feel like they're a completely changed person as a result of spending that much time outdoors.
They're not alone. There's a lot of work out there that shows that happens for a lot of people. We're going to take a break, and we will be back in just a few seconds. Welcome back to Green Time. I'm host Don Fitz. I'm interviewing Molly Rockamann, who is a founder of EarthDance. What sort of things do you grow there?
We grow over 75 varieties of vegetables and herbs, flowers, and even some fruits. Now that we know that we'll be on the farm into perpetuity, we can actually plant perennial crops and
that's great.
Plant an orchard like we've wanted to. And I think the plans are to get some more berries and raspberries and rhubarb in the ground this year.
Well, I might have to visit and find out how to do that. We just talked about what you grow at EarthDance and your connection with the Miller Farm. Now, if somebody wanted to get produce, from EarthDance, where could they get it?
So we have a few different ways that you can taste the fruits of our labor. We sell at the Tower Grove and the Ferguson Farmers Markets. Now, we do typically alternate from week to week which market we sell at. We also do sell at the Winter Farmers Markets, at least I should say November and December at Schlafly Bottle Works in Maplewood. And we also operate a community-supported agriculture program where people sign up and become shareholders of the farm, and then their weekly dividend is actually a share of the harvest each week.
So you get the CSA,
May through October.
and you get a certain portion if you're growing onions. If your onions come in good, you get so many onions.
Right.
If broccoli comes in good, you get. What does somebody do if they're part of the CSA and they hate broccoli and they get their paper bag and there's some broccoli in it?
Well, oftentimes there's other shareholders picking up their veggies at the same time, and there's always a swap box. If you see something you like in there, you can take more of it. If you don't want, if you know you're not going to eat those leeks, you can put them in the box. So.
Okay. Well, I know that's a concern that a lot of people have about CSA. Well, I'm not going to.
Yeah, give them to friends or
I don't
neighbors.
want onions. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a swap box. Now, tell me, the title of the movie that we saw at the beginning was Health Begins in the Soil. Could you tell us a little bit more about what is the connection between soil and food?
Sure. So we really, in the United States in particular, do not treat our soil with the reverence it deserves.
That's an understatement.
That is, yeah, that is a fact, I would say. We literally are what we eat, of course, understandably, eat and drink and breathe, I guess you could say. So if we're putting into our bodies things that have all of the nutrition processed out of it, if we're only eating processed foods, or if we're only eating, even if we're eating whole ingredients, you know, fresh fruits and vegetables and grains and meats and proteins, if those ingredients were not raised in a humane way or in a sustainable manner, if they weren't raised in soil that's been tended to, and they've just been, you know, if you pretty much are constantly putting in the crops and taking them out, vegetables really can deplete the soil because they're very nutrient dense crops. That's how we get so much nutrition from them, is they pull it from the soil really well. But if we're not replenishing that nutrition to the soil, then the crops have less and less nutrients as we go season to season. So that's really the main tenet of organic farming, is leaving the soil in a better condition than you found it. So we're constantly doing that.
What do you do
to do that? So we constantly are doing that through cover cropping. Cover cropping is a crop that you plant on a field, not for the sake of getting a cash return on it, but you're getting a return in terms of fertility for the soil. You typically would till that in, or some people even plant right into it if you're doing no-till.
What would that be? Could you give me some?
For example, hairy vetch is a legume, and a lot of leguminous crops. You could even plant soybeans or fava beans as a cover crop. Rye, winter rye, oats can be a cover crop, buckwheat. A lot of things that we consider legumes or grains, but if you're not necessarily harvesting them and taking them off the soil, you're leaving that nutrient, you're leaving those nutrients in the soil.
So what if you're wanting to put the cover crop on, you usually plant that in the fall after the harvest?
There are cover crops that you can plant at every time of year, just about. I mean, as long as you're within the frost date periods, you can, for example, we plant winter cover crops before October 15th is typically the last frost date of St. Louis. You want to plant it with enough time for it to germinate so that it actually takes hold in the soil. Another benefit besides adding fertility to the soil is that you're preventing soil erosion by covering the soil. You know, nature doesn't leave soil bare. You wouldn't, you wouldn't go into any open area and see just bare soil. It's always covered with vegetation. So we're mimicking that process by planting a variety of cover crops.
Okay. Well, why would you plant a cover crop at any time other than the fall?
Than the winter?
Yeah, because it would seem if you were doing a cover crop at some other time of the year, you're not. I'm translating this into gardening, where there's only very little.
You're not able to then get production out of it.
Right, you can't get production out of it.
Right. Well, you would do it because you know you're not, in organic farming. You're not only focused on that one season's outcomes, you're really looking at the long-term benefits of planting cover crops. So in an ideal organic farm setting, you're actually going to be devoting a third, if not half, of your acreage to cover cropping, to building the soil, so that you're going to get a better yield even the next season. So it does mean taking some land out of production, but typically, even for example, buckwheat is a summer cover crop in our region. You can plant buckwheat and then till it in and still get a fall crop in.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. When I've looked at some articles and books about farming and taking care of the soil, I think that the author never dealt with clay. Have you ever dealt with clay in Missouri?
We have a lot of clay soils in Missouri, yes. In fact, the Miller Farm historically is on very clay soil, and I guess technically you never totally change the soil type, but now looking at it and feeling it, it looks like black loamy soil, and it's we call it chocolate cake soil at the farm because it's very rich, it's very high in organic matter. It's really a result of decades and decades of good soil stewardship.
So basically, if you're going to change clay, the orangish red soil into that good black soil, you're not going to do it in one growing season. You're going to be digging material into the soil for years.
What the Millers did actually, because like I said, they were on very clay soil initially, they put on horse manure every single fall and let it sit, let it decompose and age, and then would till it in every spring, and that really did wonders for the farm. Okay. Nowadays we add organic matter, some in the form of manure, but also we have sizable compost piles that we're continually adding food scraps and leaves too. So,
okay, tell me, what are some of the biggest issues that farmers face right now?
That's a good question. I'll speak maybe from the beginning farmer's perspective, because I'm still a beginner myself. We actually have a huge issue in this country with a lot of farmers in retirement age, and so we need more beginning farmers, and thankfully we have a whole new generation of folks that are interested in farming as a career. But where we're seeing a bottleneck is actually access to farmland. So people that have, whether they're hobby farms or family farms that have been passed down through generations, we need to get people on those farms that really want to grow food and aren't just, letting sit idle. So I think that's one of the big issues.
There's a real need there. So tell me, we just have a couple of minutes left. Tell me a little bit about your own background and why you're interested in this.
Sure. So I somehow have always been very interested in nutrition and also environmental issues. And so when I was in college, I basically realized that agriculture is really the intersection of everything that I'm passionate about. You can't really talk about anything without talking about food. That's right. In my opinion,
that's one thing that all of us do is we breathe and we drink and we eat.
Yeah, whether you're talking about international trade issues or women's and gender studies or anthropology or sociology, food's related to everything. So
absolutely,
I realized that tending to how to help everybody make the healthiest food choices, but also the healthiest food production choices, I just found my passion in organic agriculture.
Oh, fantastic. Now tell me, what if you had a few ideas to leave the viewer with in about 30 seconds, what would you think of the most important ideas that you would like to leave people with?
Yeah. So this may not seem as obviously connected to farming, but I would say spend time with your elders. That, to me, is something that I wish all of us would actually spend more time doing. I was very fortunate to get to spend quite a bit of time conversing with Caroline Miller.
Molly, I'm getting the wrap-up sign, so I got to cut you off. I want to thank Molly Rockamann for coming to Green Time. I want to thank all of our viewers for tuning in, and be sure to tune in to Green Time this time next week.